Steve, you are currently very outnumbered in the female to male ratio.
I know, isn't it awesome?
That's usually how it is with most of the meetings.
Yeah.
I was calling
That
it.
wasn't quite by design, but I'm not objecting at all. So
I think I called it Steve's harem during the executive board meeting.
yeah, I won't call it that, but I think you can get away with it better than I can. So
Guaranteed.
Hey everybody, as the Sergeant of Arms, I just want to let everybody know that in 2 minutes we'll officially start.
Okay, great.
great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Renee.
Thank you, 2 minutes.
Absolutely.
And welcome Hamali as our official newest member. Awesome to have you here.
Thank you.
I think we're all in for a treat today. I think we're always in for a treat with our World of Difference Toastmasters Club. But it will be a one-of-a-kind meeting that we will only do once as the World of Difference Toastmasters Club. Until Kathryn's vision for World of Difference Toastmasters Club 2 comes into being, and then 3 and so forth. So
well, you know, they do supposedly we can do inductions anytime we want. It won't be like today's, but we can do inductions regularly.
Absolutely. Although we'll be inducting our new members, which is everybody. We'll also be inducting our officers, which will only happen roughly once a year. So
you induct new members and you install officers.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
So we'll be inducting our new members and we'll be installing our officers.
I have a question. In the past, at clubs I've been in, we would give people a Toastmaster lapel pin, and newly elected officers a lapel pin representing their membership and their rank. And then on days when we had meetings, we would all wear them so that people at work could see them and maybe start a conversation about it. Now that we're in the virtual world, is that still part of the ceremony, part of the ritual? When you induct new members and install? I'm sorry?
It would be harder to do virtually, but there's no reason not to. I mean, there is still snail mail. We can still get pins out to everybody, right?
I didn't know if it was still a thing as part of PR for Toastmasters in general. And for new members to feel like I am somebody, you know, wearing that lapel pin. So well, just asking.
Toastmasters, Toastmasters, just to keep us on track, we're welcome to have any conversation, but it's my job to let us know that it is now 1 o'clock. I want to welcome everybody to the World of Difference Toastmasters Club. I call this meeting to order. I ask everyone to silence their phones and remove any other potential distractions. I also ask if you would mute yourself when you're not a designated speaker. And I ask all participants to be mindful of the prescribed time so we can complete this on time. I now introduce our Toastmaster, and I'm so sorry, I didn't see who the Toastmaster is. Who would that be today? Steve Garvin. If we can welcome our esteemed President, Steve Garvin, who is also our Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Renee, and welcome to our World of Difference Toastmasters Club. It is a thrill, as always, to have you here with us. Today, I'm going to honestly try to keep my part of it fairly short and simple, although we'll see how well that works. My intention for today is for us to live into the fact that our future is bright and that it will be a splendiferous, hint, that's the word of the day. There is no word of the day counter, but just have fun with it. And I am going to begin by inducting our new members, which is all of us.
I'm
So
working on filling out the application as you speak.
right on. Woohoo. Okay. I just need to open the right document. So bear with me. I thought I had it open. Nope.
While you're looking, Steve, the word of the day is scintillating.
Oh, scintillating. Oh, that's right.
Actually,
VanDerlyn
according
was
to the
another.
agenda.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Scintillating.
Yeah,
That was last week.
scintillating. Let's be scintillating today. There we go. Okay. So I'm actually going to share my screen here. So please face your fellow members, at least virtually, and repeat after me. I, Steve Garvin, in the presence of my fellow members of the World of Difference Toastmasters Club.
Hi, Kathryn. Oh, should we say this out loud
Yes,
with our names? Fill in the
Yes.
blank with our name. Okay.
yes,
Are we unmuting ourselves, Steve?
sure. Let's have a festive party here.
Okay.
I, Kathryn.
I, the party,
Present
of
of my
members
fellow members
Of
of the World of
Difference
Difference
Toastmasters
Toastmasters
Club.
Club
Make this firm obligation
obligation
to
attend
attend
meetings regularly
Carefully.
carefully
for each assignment
Apply myself
to
to
apply myself to the
Help
project outlined in the Toastmasters education program.
Education program. To participate actively in
club
club activities, to
Evaluate
evaluate
others in a positive
constructive
manner,
manner,
to
to build upon friendly relationships with my fellow members,
and to
to bring other new members into the club so that they can
so
also
that they
gain
can also gain the benefits of
of
Toastmasters.
Toastmasters.
So this is the response as members of the club. So that's for the new members. We as the receiving members say, we the members of the World of Difference Toastmasters Club. So repeat after me.
say this
We the
together.
members of the World of Difference
Toastmasters
Toastmasters Club
We, the members of the World of Difference Toastmasters Club,
pledge to support you in your quest for self-development,
pledge to
Pledge
support
to
you
support
in your quest for self-development,
Developments.
to provide you with positive, helpful evaluations,
to provide you positive, helpful evaluations,
Evaluations.
to maintain a friendly, supportive atmosphere,
to maintain a
friendly,
friendly,
supportive
supportive atmosphere,
to give you opportunities to help others,
give
you
you opportunities to help others,
and to make your Toastmasters membership a rewarding and fulfilling experience.
and to
and
make your
Toastmasters membership a rewarding and fulfilling
experience.
Awesome. Woohoo! We have all been inducted as World of Difference Toastmaster members. Although Lee, I understand, is filling out her application right now, so we will have an opportunity for that at a future date. So you'll get to be inducted twice, Lee. Anyway, I'm excited, thrilled that we are all officially inducted into this club. Now I am going to turn my attention to the installation of our club officers. And this has a specific order to it. So Renee Twilley. As Sergeant at Arms, you are responsible for arranging the meeting location, maintaining club equipment, etc. Basically, all the physical or virtual, for that matter, in this world, aspects of our World of Difference Toastmasters Club. So, Renee, will you perform these duties to the best of your ability?
I will.
Thank you. And we will virtually pass the gavel on to the next person, who is our treasurer. So, Jennifer Eastwood, as treasurer, you keep financial records and prepare the club budget, announce when it's time for members to pay dues, explain the dues structures to members, collect dues, and work with the secretary to ensure that the club submits dues promptly on time to Toastmasters International World Headquarters. So Jennifer, will you perform these duties to the best of your ability?
Yes, I will.
Awesome. Woo-hoo! Okay. And that moves us, now we need to pass the gavel on to our next member. So Jennifer, if you would pass the gavel, figuratively speaking, of course, on to our secretary, Kathleen. So Kathleen, as secretary, you maintain an accurate membership roster and attendance, submit the new club officer list to Toastmasters International by June 30th, work with the treasurer to ensure that new member applications and dues get to Toastmasters International World Headquarters as soon as possible, and work with the treasurer to submit your clues renewal dues to Toastmasters International on time, and provide the club with minutes of each meeting. So Kathleen, will you perform these duties to the best of your ability?
I will.
Awesome. Woo! And next. So if you will pass that gavel virtually on to our VP of Public Relations. So passing that on to Kathryn. So Kathryn Yarborough. As a VP of Public Relations, you attract visitors to the club through free publicity, use a variety of means to promote the club in the world, enlist your fellow club members in PR activities, providing them with promotional materials and ideas for inviting guests, and regularly recognize member achievements with methods such as announcements, newsletters, emails, and articles that you submit to the newsletter. So Kathryn, will you perform these duties to the best of your ability?
I will.
Thank you. So let us now pass the gavel on to, actually, I don't think our VP of membership is here today, correct? Krista's not here today, right? So we will pass it on to our VP of Education, Karen VanDerlyn. As Vice President Education, you gain commitments from members to set educational goals for themselves, assure that club members are aware of the schedule of meeting roles, plan meetings that will assist members in meeting their goals, work with club members to keep meetings fun and well-run, work with members to ensure that they submit their applications for educational awards promptly, provide educational topics at club meetings such as those from the Successful Club Series and the Better Speaker Series, represent your club at area council meetings, which is yet to be determined as far as I know, and as the second highest ranking officer, preside over the meeting when the president is absent. Karen, will you perform these duties to the best of your ability?
I will.
Thank you. Woo! And now we pass it on to the president, me. So Steve Garvin, as president of the World of Difference Club, you are the chief executive officer. Thus, you preside at all club meetings and all meetings of the club executive committee. Your challenge, it is your challenge to see that this club adds new members and meets the needs of its current members to achieve their communication and leadership goals. Establish a club climate that is supportive, stimulating, and rewarding to its members, and realize that among the resources available to you are fellow club members, club officer team, club officers handbook, area director, division director, the D21 website in this case, and all of their district officers. And Steve Garvin, you hold the gavel as a symbol of the power and authority your club has given you during your term of office. I'm confident you will use it wisely and with restraint. Steve Garvin, as a member of World of Difference Toastmasters Club, as well as its leader, will you work with your executive team and club officers to make World of Difference a President's Distinguished Club this year? Yes, I will. World of Difference Toastmasters Club members, please stand virtually. Your officer team has just pledged to serve this club to the best of its ability, to be the best Toastmasters club possible, and to meet the needs of all its members. Your club will need active participation from each member. Do you as members pledge to work together with your officer team to make World of Difference the finest Toastmasters club it can possibly be?
I
Yes.
will.
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent. Woohoo! And with that, I would like to introduce our first speaker for the day, and that is Kathryn VanDerlyn. And I've actually got 2 minutes yet before the agenda says, so we're making good time right now. Kathryn VanDerlyn is excited to be a part of Toastmasters and will be serving as our Vice President of Education. Though new to Toastmasters, Kathryn is a former collegiate competitive public speaker with a state champion and national ranking to her credit. She is hoping to relive some of her former glory days through pathways and is looking forward to shaking the dust off her old skills. Kathryn works as a manager, administrative assistant, server, and bartender for Outback Steakhouse, but her proudest roles are as a wife of 27 years to her college sweetheart and mother to 3 nearly grown children. Let us welcome Kathryn VanDerlyn with her speech, Putting It Together.
Thank you, Toastmaster Steve. Well, as I said, I haven't done this in a long time, so let's start first with a toast. Cheers to all you Toastmasters out there, okay? I'm not kidding. All right. So for Christmas this past year, I wanted to do something sentimental for my nearly grown children of 23, 20, and 18. And I am the kind of mom that saves everything. I mean, everything. And one idea that I've always loved the idea is having t-shirt quilts made for the kids. If you haven't seen them before, t-shirt quilts, you save all the kids, shirts from school and musicals and plays and sports, and they take them and they make them into a beautiful quilt. So I started looking around for ideas of who can make this for me and researching different companies. And what I found was that I had a vision in my head and not every company was fitting it. Some companies did all the squares the exact same size. So some of them cut the patterns off of the shirts on the edges or had a really small, print in the middle with lots of white space around it. And I hated that. But the companies that could do it exactly the way I wanted it were a fortune. And I have 3 kids, so there's no way in heck this was going to happen. So an idea came to me. I can do it. I mean, I'm a novice sewer at best. I mean, hems on pants and badges on scout uniforms, but hey, how hard can it be? Y'all see where this is going, right? I mean, hours upon hours upon hours of measuring, cutting, sewing, cursing, and literal blood, sweat, and tears. There are literally blood, sweat, and tears in each one of those quilts. Literally, I can show you the blood spots. But after all of that, the quilts were done. And I had my sentimental gift that I wanted to give to my kids. Now, the quilts look beautiful when you look at them, as a whole. But if you look a little bit closer, you'll see that there's a lot of mistakes that were made, lots of mistakes that were made. There are uneven hems. There are paint stains on some of the shirts I couldn't get out. There are pieces that are literally glued back together because I cut it too short and I couldn't get it to attach just the right way. But as a whole, it looks pretty fantastic, if I do say so myself. So what am I trying to tell you? Well, putting together that quilt made me realize that mistakes were made and mistakes will be made. And I've learned that volunteering for Vice President of Education is basically like making that quilt. I mean, how hard can it be? I can do it. And I'm realizing now that mistakes will be made. You have all been warned in advance. So what I want to tell you about today is basically what my role is going to be as the Vice President of Education, what we are looking forward to, and what do we want as a group for World of Difference Toastmasters, and finally, how are we going to make that happen? So let's get started. So first of all, my official description as the Vice President of Education. According to the club constitution and standards bylaws, the Vice President of Education is responsible for planning, organizing, and directing a club program which meets the educational needs of all the individual members. You guys are all the pieces of my quilt that I'm going to be putting together if all goes well. So while there's actually no official right way to be a Vice President of Education, there are some guidelines on the Toastmasters website. So the first duties that they say for me to do as the Vice President of Education will be to coordinate the club's schedule. So arranging the speakers, the counters, and all of that. I am supposed to assist with educational awards, which I'm really looking forward to doing and seeing how everybody is progressing down their paths. I am going to be managing the boot camp, which is where all of our educational progress will be stored. And you'll be hearing a little bit more about boot camp, I'm sure, from Heather when she talks about the Pathways program later on in our speech. Planning speech contests, which I'm looking forward to also, having been a former old speech contest person. And finally, managing the mentor program, which Renee will be telling us about a little bit later today. So while those are my official roles as Toastmasters, according to the guidelines and bylaws, there will be other opportunities happening as well. So the next part is figuring out that what do we want as the World of Difference Toastmasters? What is our vision for our group? I mean, this whole group is not about just the executive board or just Steve's vision or my vision or Kathryn's vision or whoever's vision. What is our vision as a cohesive group? We have a very unusual group here, being that we are literally international, different time zones, different ages, different places in our life, different opportunities, lots of things going on there. So I'm going to be reaching out to everybody individually, and whether it be through surveys, whether it be through a phone call or a text, whether it be through the word's totally escaping me. It'll come to me. Anyway, I will be reaching out to everybody and trying to find out, what do you want our club to look like? What is your vision for the World of Difference Toastmasters? And what are you hoping to get out of the club? We're not all in it for the same reasons. Some of us, it might be work related. Some of it might be social. Some of it might be competitive. Some of it might be just for curiosity, but we all have our vision. So I will be reaching out to people about that. And finally, how are we going to make this all happen? Well, one thing I found out while I was doing some research is that the World of Difference Toastmasters program runs on a calendar year of July 1st to June 30th. So because of that, we'll actually be in our positions for 15 months, not 12 months. So what I'd like to do is try a few different things and reevaluate quarterly to see if it works for all of us. So one of the things that we're going to be doing is asking you to sign up on the Toastmasters International website. You can all log in yourselves, even as first-time members. You just put in your email that you used to join the club. You're going to say, forgot password. It will email you a link, and you can set your password in that link, and then boom, you are into Toastmasters International, and you can start looking around the site. One of the first things I'm going to ask everyone to do is sign up for their pathways, take their assessment, figure out what their pathway is going to be, and set up their profile for base camp so we can start doing the educational component. Another thing that we're going to be doing is educational moments once a month at the meetings. And in those educational moments, we will be recording them, just like we're recording this meeting today, posting it on the website. Oh, I'm going over time. I'm so sorry, guys. But guess what, Steve? You had 2 extra minutes. I'm taking them. So you're going to go on to the, we're going to record these educational meetings, and we are going to have them there available to you on the website so that you can access them and you learn from them. And another thing that we're going to do is going to be reaching out to people about roles and seeing what works best, signing up ourselves, assigning spots, things like that. So that's just a very, very brief, fast overview of what we're going to be doing, hopefully with the Vice President of Education. And to quote Stephen Sondheim, you've probably heard the song from Sunday in the Park with George, putting it together, bit by bit, piece by piece, part by part. And having just a vision's not the solution. Everything depends on execution. So that's one of my biggest roles here, is going to be executing and getting us onto an educational part. So just like that quilt, each of you are the pieces. Mistakes will be made, things will be unusual, but by putting it together, it's going to be a beautiful whole. So thank you very much. And back to you, Toastmaster Steve.
Thank you, Karen. That was fantastic. So our next speaker is Kathryn Yarborough, and Kathryn is the immediate past president of the Omni Toastmasters Club and is our current VP of Public Relations. During her term as VP of Public Relations, Kathryn plans on encouraging all of us to regularly invite our friends and colleagues to try a World of Difference Toastmasters meeting so that our club continues to be robust, engaging, and growthful for all. Today, Kathryn's presentation is entitled, I Challenge You. Please help me welcome Kathryn Yarborough.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. As we begin our journey together as official members and officers of the World of Difference Toastmasters Club, I challenge each of us to do the following. 1, identify a 1-year goal for yourself. 2, be open to learning something over the next 12 months that surprises you. And 3, commit to making a world of difference, both in our club and, of course, in the world. When I joined Toastmasters in my other club, Omni Toastmasters, 3.5 years ago, my goal was to develop my skills as a presenter. That is still my goal and why I continue to be here. I've made a lot of progress. I used to say, so you know, and like a lot. I used to speak really fast all the time. And when I first got started, I didn't even know how to craft presentations. So you can tell I can speak really, really fast, and it's kind of fun for me. I still have a lot of room for improvement. I want to be more real and more authentic. I want to use stories more effectively. And I even want to be better at engaging people. I look forward to the day when I can say to myself that I am a great speaker. And I'm wondering if anybody else feels that way. Either raise your hand if you want to become a better speaker, or if you want to even tell yourself you're a great speaker. Okay, fantastic. Good. I invite you to join me in creating a goal for the next 12 months. My goal to develop my skills as a presenter is not a SMART goal, because it's not specific, measurable, or time-bound for all of y'all who know about SMART goals, which is probably everybody in this room. However, Toastmasters, as we know, has created an educational structure called Pathways that lends itself to SMART goals. For example, right now, underneath my big goal of becoming a better presenter, I have a specific goal of completing 1 project in Pathways every month for the next 12 months. And I know, because of my past experience, I'm sharing this with you, by completing these projects, both my speaking skills and my ability to craft presentations will improve. Now, so far, it appears to me that pretty much all of the members of this World of Difference Toastmasters Club, that we're all quite comfortable speaking in front of others. Now, if that's not the case, I don't mean to impose that on you, but I'm guessing you wouldn't be here if there wasn't some skill related to public speaking or leadership that you wanted to develop. And I invite you right now to take a moment and think about what that is. What skill do you want to develop over the next 12 months? I invite you, if you're willing, to post it in the chat. What skill do you want to develop over the next 12 months? And if you post it in the chat, we can see each other's goals or intentions for our work together. I'll be reading yours later, not during my presentation. And over the next week, okay, excellent. Thank you, Lee, for getting started. Awareness of body language. So that's the only one I'm going to interrupt myself to read because I'll get too excited reading what y'all have to say. But over the next week, I invite you to turn it into a SMART goal if you haven't already, just to help you get more structured. I have been surprised. So first of all, I challenge you to create a goal, a SMART goal. Second, I invite you to be open to be surprised about what you will learn while you're with us in the World of Difference Toastmasters. I've been surprised by so many things that I've learned in Toastmasters, but the one that continues to dumbfound me that I almost don't have any words for is how much the feedback that I've been given has helped me know myself. I've been told that I'm enthusiastic, I'm bubbly, I'm positive, I'm inspiring, and I'm engaging. And I love hearing those things, not because it makes me feel good, like it's stroking my ego, that people like me, but really because I feel like when people tell me these things, that I'm being seen and heard. I get it because of Toastmasters, that people are hearing what I say and what I say matters and it's making a difference. You may not believe this about me because I seem to be extroverted, but most of my life, I have felt invisible. I've been an entrepreneur for 20 years. And when I've done inner work, exploring my experience with promoting myself, the image that's come to me often is that of having a plexiglass bubble, that I'm inside a plexiglass bubble and all the people of the world are walking around outside of it. And I'm inside jumping up and down, see me, hear about my services, come work with me. And I have felt not seen and not heard until Toastmasters. The impact of the feedback that I've received both here and in my other club has been immeasurable. I now feel seen and heard, and I get that what I say makes a difference. What's brilliant about Toastmasters is it's an equal opportunity feedback generator. All you have to do is show up and contribute. And whether you're responding to a tables topics question, giving a formal presentation, or being our minute messenger, or one of the other roles, someone is likely going to say something about what you said and how you said it. Of course, the more you do, the more feedback you'll get. And one of the cool things you'll learn is what you bring to the room just by being you. I invite you to be open to whatever it is and be surprised to whatever it is that you will learn this year. The third thing I challenge you to do is to commit to taking what you learn here and experience in the World of Toastmasters Club, World of Difference Toastmasters Club, and sharing it with the world. But the truth is, I don't think you need that invitation from me. I think every single one of us is here because we want to make a difference in the world. So my friends, as we move into this first year together, I encourage you to, 1, identify a 1-year goal for yourself in our club. 2, be open to learning something over the next 12 months that will surprise you. And 3, don't just commit to making a difference in our club and also in the world. Don't just want to, but go make a difference. Go make the difference you're here to make, here and in the world. All right, back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Kathryn. I really appreciate the rich thoughts that have been shared so far today, and I look forward to our next speaker, and that
You're on mute.
You're muted.
You're on mute.
that might help. Speaking of that feedback that Kathryn was just talking about, I appreciate the feedback that I was on mute. And I just did an interview in my Facebook group yesterday called Unmute Yourself. So I am unmuting myself so that I can present our next speaker, and that is Renee Twilley. And believe it or not, Renee joined Toastmasters a year ago and now belongs to 3 clubs, including Advanced Toastmasters of Asheville, serving as a Vice President of Education for New Dimensions in Asheville, and our very own Sergeant at Arms in the World of Difference Toastmasters Club. Even though she recently retired after nearly 50 years in various leadership positions in corporate America, she stays active, understatement, with meaningful, purposeful activities, including extensive volunteer work, teaching as an adjunct instructor at a local community college, and recently started her own business as a career coach. She finds that the Toastmasters organization is a great way to keep her communication skills fresh and is a great way to network and interact with like-minded, ambitious professionals. Let us all welcome Renee Twilley with her speech, AAA Mentor.
Thank you, Toastmaster Steve. I'm not sure if Lee is a guest or a member yet, but thank you, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests. Toastmasters International encourages each club to have a vibrant mentoring program so that each member has the opportunity to acclimate to this highly structured program with confidence and with ease. Toastmaster Steve, fellow Toastmasters, I am so thankful that our club, World of Difference, is placing an early emphasis on establishing our mentoring program. Usually, as you now know, it's the Vice President of Education, in our case, Kathryn VanDerlyn, who administers the club's mentoring program. Now, our club has 23 members, yay, of which 13 are totally new to Toastmasters. That means 10 of us are eligible to be mentors for others. So if you're new to Toastmasters, I encourage you to reach out to Steve and Kathryn so that you can be assigned a mentor. Now, what exactly would a mentor teach you as a protege? Well, here are the basics. They're going to help you with your speeches, including personalized evaluations. And I got to say, when I started a year ago, I had a wonderful mentor who I could not have gone through the program as relaxed as I did without her mentorship. So utilize that. Your mentor will also help you understand the role assignments. Now, I know that there are scripts all over the place, but your mentor can help you execute it, again, with confidence and ease. Another basic skill your mentor will assist you with, and this one for me is huge, but navigating through the pathway curriculum. Kathryn talked about it a little bit, but why is that 2 minutes, Sandy? I mean, why is that green? I'm only at 2 minutes. I got 3 more minutes to go. Kathryn talked about the Pathway Educational Program, which is a wonderful, wonderful program. I love the structure of it. Love the structure of it, but it can be pretty intense and a little bit complicated. So use your mentor to navigate through that. Now, beyond the basic skills, your mentor can also introduce you to a variety of resources, including the Toastmasters magazine. They could explain the different district conferences, including various district websites, which have an amazing amount of resources for you to learn even more. And here's something else that's huge. I don't remember who mentioned it, but it's huge. The mentor can help you with speech contests, which is so fun, and it's a big part of the Toastmaster brand, which I hope many of us will engage in down the road. It is so fun. Another thing your mentor can help you with is just explaining the overall Toastmaster organization. So beyond the club level, such as ours, we have the area level, the division level, the district level, and international levels. And there are leadership opportunities within all those levels, which I hope many of us will participate in. So there is a broad range of insight and knowledge that your mentor will be able to provide based on your specific interests and your readiness. Now that I've talked about the Toastmaster mentorship program, let's talk about what makes a great mentorship. So mentorship starts with establishing a great match between the mentor and the protege. And there are 3 qualities that a mentor should possess for this great match to occur. I call them the triple A's: ability, availability, and approachability. Now, let me share a few slides that will illustrate those triple A's. Ability. So here we see the mentor callously tossing a book and a manual, if you will, to the protege who's already drowning. So the ability refers to the mentor's more advanced knowledge and experience level, but more than that, the mentor's ability to follow what I call the tell me, show me, watch me approach. You want to tell them how to do it. You want to demonstrate how to do it. And then you want to stand back, give them space, and watch them do it. You cannot just give them a website and say, okay, you're on your own. You have to walk alongside with them. The next triple A is availability. I'll read the caption. Everyone was there to shake my hand when I won the spelling bee, but you were there to hold my hand when I was practicing for the spelling bee. So as a mentor, it's important to reach out to your protege. Excuse me, let me back up. I'm going to ask a question. As a mentor, is it important to reach out to your protege in your free time? Yes, but more importantly, it's important to free your time to reach out to your protege. As a mentor, be generous with your time, be proactive, carve out time to spend with your protege. The relationship doesn't have to be time consuming, but if it's done wisely, it can be time well spent where both parties benefit. AAA number 3, approachability. Let me read the caption. Mentor, I'm sorry, I thought you wanted a tormentor. Approachability. We want to be mentors, not tormentors. We want to win them, not offend them. If we're excessively critical, we rob them of the opportunity to gain confidence and motivation. Our approachability starts with being an active, caring listener where trust and mutual respect is the foundation of the relationship. In conclusion, having a vibrant mentoring program is key to the success of our club. Being a Toastmaster member requires more than just showing up, giving a speech, receiving an evaluation. It also means making a commitment to help each member grow and build their communication and leadership skills. As AAA members help proteges, the proteges eventually develop the ability, the availability, and the approachability to become a AAA mentor themselves. And doing so allows our club to thrive and grow and sustain the Toastmaster legacy. And wouldn't that be scintillating? Back to you, Toastmaster Steve.
Thank you, Renee. That was certainly a scintillating presentation and brings us just in time for our next presentation by Heather Pardon. Heather initially joined Toastmasters in 2010, taking a break in 2014 to pursue an interest in amateur stand-up comedy. Over the course of those 4 years, Heather worked through Toastmasters' previous educational material, earning her ACB Advanced Communicator Bronze. She also participated in several speech contests and served in a number of leadership positions at the club level. Today, Heather will be giving us an overview of the Toastmasters educational program Pathways in a speech entitled Getting Started on Your Toastmasters Path. Let us all welcome Heather.
Thank you, Toastmaster Steve, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guest Lee. We'll have one thing in common here, whether you're a new Toastmaster, a returning Toastmaster, or a veteran, having been a Toastmaster for several years, we all answered the call to this new adventure that is the World of Difference, and it's going to change your professional and personal lives in so many ways. And we've all committed to making a difference in the world around us. And our exciting journey has officially begun today. And my goal over the next few minutes is to help you plan your journey and to give you an introduction to the Pathways program. Now, the other day, Karen asked me on Saturday if I would like to speak today. And when I first joined this club, one of the intentions I set to myself was to push my comfort zone. And normally I like a bit more time to present a speech and prepare and so on. I've had a busy few days, but I remembered my intention, which meant that, of course, I said yes, because I wanted to honor my intention and honor my goal. So I'd like to ask you, where would you like your Toastmasters journey to take you? Now, Kathryn has prompted us today to think about your goal moving forward and to take some time thinking about over the next few days. She gave us a very inspiring talk. So I'd like to encourage you, before you even step into the Pathways program, is to spend some time thinking about your goals and intentions and how you'd like to spend your time with this club, because that will help inform and help you make decisions and set goals as you move forward before you even begin your Pathways journey. That being said, let's jump right into what exactly the Pathways program is and what it has to offer you. At this point, I think most of you here have experienced a Toastmasters meeting, and you have an idea of the roles and the structure of each of the meetings. And that is one part of the Toastmasters experience. Pathways is the structured education program that will guide your individual learning and development. Now, I came up through the old Toastmasters curriculum, as I think many people here have who are previous members. Pathways is an upgraded and much more modern learning curriculum, which it builds on the past program, but it has added a lot more improvements. And we used to work through, for those of us who came up through that program, we used to work through a series of manuals. So we had a lot of paper, a lot of books to carry around, and so on to track our progress. But now Pathways is offered primarily online, and it delivers a lot more benefits and opportunities to the membership. There are 11 specialized learning pathways for you to choose from, which depends upon your interests and goals, which one you will choose. They vary from presentation mastery, effective coaching, dynamic leadership, and more. And within each pathway, there are 5 progressive levels of learning that allow you to build upon the skills you've acquired in the previous level. And at each level, you will be delivering speeches. And the speeches you give in our club, will be based upon assignments in Pathways. For example, the icebreaker speech is the very first project in your pathway. Some levels will also include a selection of projects, such as creating a podcast, writing a blog, using presentation software, and a host of other things, assignments that will finish by giving a speech. And again, these assignments are electives that you can choose based on your interests and what skills you would like to develop. So through Pathways, you're given what I consider kind of a scaffolding that allows you to develop your skills in many different areas, from communication, leadership, management, strategic planning, public service, and much more. Again, depending upon your interests and your particular goals with Toastmasters. So I'd like to talk to you about the 5 steps to getting started on your Pathways. Step number 1 is to log in on the Toastmasters website to get started. Now, who has logged in? Who has logged in? Who hasn't? Okay, we still have a few people to log in. Okay. The second thing you can do, and talking about overwhelming information, is to read what is called the Navigator. Now, this is a document which outlines all the meaning structures and roles, kind of all the meat of Toastmasters. I've put the link to this in the chat. I'll post it again. It's on our website, or sorry, our Facebook page as well. Okay, it will guide you through the whole Toastmasters process and the Pathways program. Basically, all your information that you need to get started is there. Step 3 is to take the assessment on pathways. There's an online assessment that you can take that will help you choose which pathway is best for you. Once you do that, you'll get 3 recommendations for your pathways, and you can choose one of those or another one if you like. Now, bear in mind that a path may take 1 to 2 years to complete, depending upon your goals. So I encourage you to really think about which path you might like, maybe speak to a mentor about your path so that you make the choice that is best for you. And step number 4 is to choose your path. All right, that's the way that you get started to get full value out of your learning experience. And again, if you need help with that, we've talked about some of the resources and people who are available, like Karen, mentors, senior members to help you to do that. And once you choose your path, you'll be set up in what's called base camp. Now, I can share my screen because I have, and I'll probably go a little bit over time here, sorry. Share my screen here and show you, how do I do this here? Where am I? Maybe I can't. Sorry, I'm not good at this. You are screen sharing. Okay, I might have a fail on the screen share, sorry. But basically what you can do is log on to the, when you log on to the Toastmasters website or go to the top of the Toastmasters and say log in. First time you use your email, hit forgot password, that'll log you in. Hit the pathways tab and that'll take you to your base camp. All right, and step number 5 is to give your icebreaker speech. That's the very first project in all the pathways. So it literally is your introduction to the club, your chance to introduce yourself to fellow members. And it begins, it marks the beginning of your pathways adventure, okay? And it also kind of gets you over the hurdle of having joined Toastmasters and gets you on your way. So in closing, I know I'm a little over time here. I'd like to ask, or like to tell a little story. A few years ago, I was in a rock climbing clinic, and rock climbing and public speaking are 2 very fearful activities. And I was in the afternoon of the clinic having done a few climbs, and I was on a more advanced climb, and I was partway up, and I was on this rock overhanging, gripped with fear, unsure as to what to do next. And the instructor of the clinic asked me one of the best coaching questions I've never forgotten. He said to me, "Heather, what's next?" And that got me to thinking about how I could move myself to the next level. What was my next move going to be so that I didn't stay stuck on that rock forever? So I encourage you today to think about what is next for you on your Toastmaster journey. Maybe it's signing up for your icebreaker. Maybe it's committing to taking on a role. Maybe it's downloading the Navigator document. Maybe it's signing up to become a mentor, or maybe it's finding a mentor. But I encourage you to consider what is next for you. Now, I know you've gotten a lot of information today, and I know it can be daunting, but I'd like to leave you with this familiar quote that I hope puts things into perspective for you. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So fellow Toastmasters, what is your next step going to be? Back to you, Toastmaster Steve.
Thank you so much, Heather. And I am going to immediately hand the gavel, the lectern, virtual, over to Kathleen, who will provide opportunity for you to ask any questions that may remain unanswered.
Yes, please. Thank you, Steve. We just got amazing information, but a lot of information. And I suspect that some of us, particularly the 13 new members, may have some questions, and maybe even our more veteran members. And please go ahead and raise your hand if you have anything you'd like someone to follow up on. Karen.
For the mentor program, can anyone be your mentor, or should you specifically look for someone who is on the same pathway you are?
And who of our SAGE veteran members would like to respond?
I'd be happy to respond to that.
Thank you, Kristen.
There will be a list of mentors simply because to be a mentor, it'll be one of the more experienced Toastmasters. However, the pairing of mentors is really dependent on the mentor and the protege. They do not have to be on the same path at all. Absolutely not. And just as a side note, for those of you who are more advanced, Toastmasters actually has standardized some mentoring skills in a separate standalone path that is separate from the others. It's a badge and an accomplishment project to do. It's a long-term project. You have to have done up, I think, level 3 of pathways, and then it becomes available to you. And I encourage you all to think about taking that, certainly as World of Difference members, to think about doing that standalone mentoring project. It's really worthwhile.
Thank you very much for that, Kristen. I'm just amazed at what I'm learning from you all. Do we have any other questions regarding education, mentoring, pathways? Christine.
I'm wondering, Kathryn said she wanted to do a project every month for the full 12 months. And I'm wondering what kind of a time commitment we're talking about. Does that mean doing a speech a month? I don't know what that means.
I'll respond and anybody can add to it. Most projects are a presentation. There are some that are other things. So I think doing one presentation a month it just depends on each of us. So as you get started, you can see. I'm done talking. I don't know. I can't add anything.
Does that mean one presentation in the club or one presentation anywhere?
In the
Kristen,
club.
please. Yeah. Thank you.
Projects generally include speeches and tasks. So there are very few projects that are a speech only. Some of them are forming a team or organizing an event, etc. You'll find that each project is a little bit different, so the timeline is not standardized all the way across. Your very first project is that icebreaker. That's just a speech. But a good example of to illustrate what I'm saying is that project number 2 is a project called evaluation and feedback. You give a speech, you have it evaluated with some tangible feedback that you can apply. You give the speech again, applying the feedback, and then you evaluate somebody else's speech. So there's actually 2 speeches and 4 tasks involved in that particular project. So they're all different. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. I'm not going to give myself that big of a goal.
Julie.
Yeah, I looked really quickly at the various pathways, and they have different titles, but many of them seem the same. Can anybody recommend, what is different about them? I'm really curious as to what actual pathways people in this group are on now. And maybe folks have some guidance.
Dave?
Just for the sake of variety, I know people who have spoken could answer this probably better than I, but a lot of the pathways start out very similarly and then diverge when they get to the actual title of the path. I could not tell you what the path you should take is, but if you go, once you log in, there is what they call the assessment, which will ask you several questions about your goals and then suggest 1 or 2 or 3 paths that you explore. And as I just posted in the chat, even if the website is a little unclear about some of the details of those paths, other Toastmasters have compiled all that information, and any information you want to find out about it before you commit to a path, you can Google.
Great, thanks, Dave.
Yeah, and I would just like to add, be sure to have a look. I've put the link to that Pathways document, which outlines all the projects and assignments on every single path. And that'll give you a really good overview to help you make your decision.
Great, thanks, everybody.
Steve, are we out of time? Or do we have time for one more question?
Actually, I just got a message from Sandy. So if Sandy can do her timers report, then we can, if I'm happy to stay after for a few minutes, but we can adjourn the meeting after Sandy's report.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
Sorry.
Kathryn.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster Steve. I always have a meeting right after this at 10. So Karen went over a little bit, but we had so much important information that almost everybody went over, but you know, it was really well needed, right? So we've got Karen at 8:23, Kathryn at 7:04, just by seconds, Renee at 8:20, and Heather, you're the winner, 9:49. But everybody did a great job. It's so great to finally be official, and I look forward to more of this. Yay!
Thank you, Sandy. And does anybody else have any questions? That's all I've got. We actually have on the agenda that if we had any time left over, we would go to table topics, but I think in lieu of that, we will address any other questions that might be arising for you. Anyone?
Steve, could I just add that David can back me up on this, that there's a menu in Pathways of over 65 elective projects, and every path picks and chooses maybe a choice of 20 or 25 of those electives and gives you a menu. So every path includes requisite tasks that requisite projects that have to be done, and the balance of them are electives, so that you truly can tailor your path. Even though two people are doing exactly the same path, their paths will each look and sound and feel and taste very different.
Absolutely.
And if you do go onto the TI website and you click the Paths and Learning tab and scroll down because it's part way down, it's about belly level. Scroll down and it gives you every single path and the menu of electives that are available for that path.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I learned. I'm now working on my third path, and one of the things that I worried about before I started in Pathways, because I started back when we were doing the paper manuals that were mentioned earlier, was that, and I really hate being told what to do. So I felt like, you know, I was being forced into this Pathways thing. And what I've discovered is that actually provides a lot of latitude, and that the way that I approach Toastmasters and Pathways is that it is a resource to help me create the speaking platform, speaking material that helps me make the difference that I want to make in the world.
Yeah,
so
I think there needs to be a lot of latitude. I think that we take the tasks and the projects as outlined in Pathways, and we give ourselves poetic license and creative license to make each project our own. If it says the speech is to be 5 to 7 minutes and it ends up being 7 to 9 minutes, who cares? It's okay. You're allowed to do that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And especially, so when you don't know that, that's one thing, but when you do know, because you have practiced before you actually deliver the speech and you know that it's going to be 7 to 9 minutes, please let Karen or perhaps David know so that we can adjust the agenda and so forth. So again, before everybody goes, the rest of us go, I just want to say I'm so incredibly grateful and delighted to have each of you now officially in the World of Difference Toastmasters Club. You're all officially inducted and our offices are installed. And I think we're off to have a very bright future ahead of us. So thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Have a great day.
Bye-bye. And if anybody still has questions, I can stay on for a few more minutes, but I do have another meeting at 2:30. Are there any questions that remain that are driving you crazy and you really need to have answered right now? Kathryn. Oh, bye.
Yeah. Bye, Kathryn.
Hamali, how are you feeling?
I'm doing good. Sorry, I have someone cleaning the house, so the vacuum going off in the back.
Oh, can't hear you. Can't hear it at all. So.
Oh,
you're good.
But I would love to have a mentor myself, and yeah.
Excellent. Did I see a second on that, Christine?
The third.
Okay, so we will work together to make that happen. I know that Renee Twilley will be a good resource. Not only did she speak about it today, but she has experience in being a mentor and running the mentoring program in the club that we were in together. So reach out to her and reach out to me. I'm happy to. I don't have the greatest breadth of knowledge with the mentoring program, but I'm happy to either answer or find somebody that can. And I imagine that David probably has a wealth of information on mentoring as well.
I could probably share with you what I know in 5 minutes, and then you can pick and choose from everybody else too.
Well, once everybody's set up in the base camp, I guess I called it boot camp during my speech, but it kind of seems like a boot camp. But once everybody's set up in base camp, I think I'll have a better idea where everybody sits. And we can start maybe working out a couple of relationships there. So
I'll say this, and this will be maybe useful for you, Karen, and possibly for anybody else who ever takes on the leadership role, is that over the course of the 15 months, this opportunity you have to do this role, you might consider that given the breadth of responsibility that you've found VP of E has, it is possible to create the role of the mentorship chair. And that could be something you define as you go along so that future VP of E's may find the role more palatable if they know that they can delegate this effort to a single person who may keep the role year after year for a while. So that could be something to look into or try to plan for.
Awesome, thank you.
I've seen it done. That's about everything I could tell you about mentorship.
By the way, Karen, I just wanted to say I love the idea of boot camp. I was like, who's speaking boot camp? Maybe I can in it because I am so frightened and terrified. Maybe that would help me push to the edge.
I had no idea I said it, and then I saw Kristen's message, and I'm like, oh, damn. It's all right. Mistakes will be made. That was the theme of my speech. Mistakes will be made.
Yes. So. And it's all good. We all learn from it. So,
you know, I realized none of you could see what my coffee mug said when I made the joke at the beginning.
Oh, no, I saw it.
I saw it.
Anytime I'm speaking, you may see this cup available because I was just like, oh, my nerves are shot right now. So, but I wish you could see me here. I literally have papers taped all over the walls so I wouldn't forget any parts. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I wouldn't forget anything because I didn't trust my memory at all.
Yeah. It's self-enablement. It's fine.
Whatever you got to do, right? Whatever you got to do to get through until we get to those, until I start progressing down those pathways. I mean, it's a learning experience, right? We're all going to learn. That's the whole goal of this thing. So,
and the thing that I'm learning is that the journey never ends. So it just keeps getting better.
Yeah. Well, we've got a great group and everybody seems ready to jump in, and that's awesome. So
yeah, absolutely.
Let's do this. So I was seeing on the VPE, it says that we should probably be reaching out to speakers 3 weeks in advance. So Dave, I saw you went a month ahead on the agenda. Is that what I saw?
I published a lot of them out there to get us through the beginning of May. It's something, at some point, if we can actually find some time to hook up and I can share my screen, I could show you. I created a template will make it very easy to create the usual agenda we have. And yeah, I mean, this club had traditionally done this sort of end of meeting, who wants to go next week kind of thing. But that, I think you saw, leads to the people who step up a lot, stepping up quickly, and the people who don't, maybe like waiting another week. So there's probably a better way to go about it, like you described. But there are a lot of ways to go about it. We could. I have been the VP of E before, and I've seen a couple of different things done that I could share with you. And if, obviously, I know you've got some ideas of your own. There are no set ways, as you pointed out, as to how exactly this is to be done.
So that actually brings up a good question for, what are your thoughts, Karen, on how we will fill the roles for, say, next week?
Well, we already have our speaker, one of our speakers for next week, and I was thinking about doing my icebreaker just to fill in the other speaker and just get that out of the way for me. And then the following week, we have a 15-minute speaker, so that'll take up both roles. So really, we're looking 3 weeks out at this point.
For the speakers, but for the other roles.
But for the other roles, I was actually going to go on to, because I know we've discussed about possibly assigning roles, but I wanted to read.
She froze. She froze, right?
Yes, everybody send good juju to Karen.
It's not just me.
It's frozen for a long time. I'll bet she disappears in a second.
Yeah. So anyway, I hope that was, as I will, in fact, I'm going to stop the recording now.